So it's a very, very warm welcome here to the International Centre for Arbitration and Mediation. My name's David Liddle, and for those of you who don't know me, I'm the Director and Founder of Total Conflict Management, TCM. And welcome to today's showcase. And TCM's been taking a lead nationally and internationally on developing mediation quality standards for workplace and employment mediators. Conflict within organisations creates challenge and it creates controversy. And the test for your managers, the test for your employees, the test for your organisation is where do you stand when you experience conflict? Conflict stifles creativity and innovation. If any of you have been in conflict, you don't really feel like sitting down and coming up with 10 ideas for improving your product, service or different aspects of the way you work. You're kind of just about coping. You're kind of just about getting through the day, kind of just about holding on and not going to see the GP to be signed off, because you're just about develop the coping strategy of actually not looking at the person, because even looking at them upsets you and aggravates you and worries you. If conflict is a challenge to be resolved, what does mediation do? Well, firstly, it creates a safe and structured environment. That fight or flight response, we know that's driven by a series of hormonal changes within the body as a result of the conflict. That fight or flight reaction that the parties have, the first concern that they have is it won't be safe to go into the room with the other party. And what mediation does is it helps nip issues in the bud. It helps to resolve early stage conflicts effectively and constructively, bringing the parties around the table, reducing the substantial cost to organisations. A small use of mediation at a small scale has already saved the clients that we've been working with over £3 million in unresolved disputes and conflicts. That doesn't include the high-level litigation, employment tribunals, the cost of award at an employment tribunal, or the costs and damage caused within the organisation of going through formal statutory processes. This is the conservative figure, and we're getting better and better as an organisation at helping parties to make a sound judgment about whether or not to use mediation or not. And what we're doing with our clients and organisations, and hopefully with yourselves, is collecting good quality data to measure the success of mediation. And it's great to have Middlesex University Business School here today, who are supporting the work of TCM and to further enhance our ability to collect good quality data to measure the success and the effectiveness of mediation. And we're embarking on a research project to begin doing exactly that.
Thanks to David and TCM for inviting me along to speak today about our experience of mediation at University of Southampton. Mediation was picked up by the diversity manager, who was really keen about this idea of setting up an internal mediation scheme. TCM came in to help with the setting up of the scheme, and I do think that's invaluable, that sort of support, because first of all I think you need to apply something that's an established working model for mediation. And of course there's a number of different models of mediation, and we've been using the TCM one, and we know that it works. Talking about the experience of the scheme since it started several years ago, is the scheme will die if it doesn't have champions who are prepared to promote it and keep promoting it. And that's why it's so important, I think, that this isn't just an HR or a legal or a diversity issue, that we really get the buy-in of stakeholders across the organisation, from senior management downwards, so that people are thinking about mediation when a dispute is occurring and think about whether that's the way of dealing with the dispute, rather than it simply ending up in procedure.
But in essence, what we're trying to do is help organisations begin a tentative start of talking about something as simple and natural as conflict. There needs to be a change where HR and personnel can begin to push those back to managers and leaders and support those managers and leaders manage these difficult situations through local and early resolution with the support and guidance of a pastoral and supportive HR function, rather than the abrogation to HR of please will you sort out our problems that I've kind of not been able to deal with for 6 months, and it's a bit of a mess, but good luck. Mediation has to be a bottom-up approach, but it also works more effectively when it also has a top-down approach. And I think if one of the actions from today can be getting top management buy-in to your scheme, that can in itself be incredibly useful. And I think at TCM we're taking a lead on promoting the use of mediation in creative and innovative ways within organisations. And it has to be voluntary. But it has to be voluntary not for ethical reasons. It has to be voluntary because if at 2 o'clock in the afternoon the parties don't want to be there and involved in a really emotionally charged, difficult conversation with each other, then it's not going to work because they're not going to commit fully or be fully involved in the process. So we want the parties to make their own decisions. And we continually monitor, evaluate and review progress over a year. So once the parties have reached that all-important resolution, they know they've got in the background someone who still cares and someone who's still seeking to support those parties. And in recent analysis, our drop-off rate of success was from 93% to 70%.
Good morning, everyone. My name's Teresa Jennings and I'm a clinical psychologist and I work in occupational health at Northumbria Healthcare Trust. I'm going to talk you through our mediation scheme, which is an in-house mediation scheme. Our mediators were actually trained by Total Conflict Management. So just to talk you through some of our experiences. You know, people often think going into mediation there's going to be a winner and a loser, there's going to be some kind of judgment made. So we're trying to reinforce that through education and training, that mediation is actually all those bullet points there. It's voluntary and consensual, it's confidential and private. No judgments are made. You know, it's up to both parties to reach a solution together. And it's non-confrontational and non-violent. And we haven't had anyone hitting each other yet, have we, Kim, in any of our sessions? But the other point worth mentioning there is that it's actually a structured but informal process. It's not actually a formal procedure, and we've spent a lot of time in our organisation trying to help people understand the difference. They are not going into a formal procedure, but it is actually a structured process, the mediation itself, where we have a neutral third party intervening. And that's the beauty around it. With our mediators, we've got a neutral person going into a patch or an area where they've not had any involvement and trying to intervene and resolve in that conflict. The mediation itself, as I mentioned, was provided by Total Conflict Management. Now, why we asked for Total Conflict Management was because, rolling back the clock a bit again, I'm actually working as a psychologist in occupational health, and there are a few of us around the country that are networked. We do the same kind of a role. And in Manchester, a colleague of mine had actually already used Total Conflict Management to provide training for their in-house mediators, and she recommended them. So we obviously went to Total Conflict Management. We're very pleased with the training that they've provided. I have to say the training was evaluated in a very positive way. All our people that were trained were very happy with the skills that they've learned. I've got a slide later on about some of the comments that they've made about actually being mediators and what that's brought to their usual working role over and beyond their day job, if you like, how it's been very valuable. The bottom line is that we're improving patient care. You know, it's actually good for business. So obviously staff are working better together, relationships are better, performance is better, but the most important outcome for us is that the patient, you know, has a better experience.